Hello, friends and listeners. Welcome to Truth, Lies, and Alibis, the true crime podcast from three friends sharing their perspectives from having years of 911 dispatching experience.
Episode 17.
The Teacher and the Conman.
In this episode, Brittany and I talk about the murder of an Arizona teacher and the conman that manipulated her and took her life.
Is there a local case that sticks out to you that either you dispatched for or you heard about?
Yeah, there's a couple. I worked one, so in this area outside of town that's part of our county, there's a lot of residences that are like out and kind of in the woods and stuff like that. I think it was like fall into winter when people started using their heating systems again.
Mm-hmm.
There was one time that this is really sad. It was a family. I don't remember how many in the family, but they had all passed away in the night because of the gas levels in the home.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we had like a welfare check and they went to go check on the family because like nobody could get a hold of them and they found them. I mean, it's really sad because it's like all of them, but at the same time, like if you're gonna go,
at least they all went together
and
yeah.
They all went together and they went in their sleep and
That's so sad.
it was really sad. There was also one that was also, it was when I was working the county, there was this crazy one where some guy had murdered his wife and sister-in-law and then essentially turned himself in to the...
At the trooper's house, right?
At his house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was a tow truck driver, so he was like familiar.
He was a tow truck driver for the area, so he knew
I remember that one.
Law enforcement. Yeah. I was working that one and... You know, it's tough, especially over multiple agencies when...
Are you talking about how we thought it was something completely different than what it was?
Yes.
Yes!
Yeah, so
that's what I remember.
So like, it was like fifth party information by the time I could give the information to my deputies.
Yes.
We had thought initially with the information we got that somehow the trooper's family was involved.
Yes. Because I remember thinking that he had confessed to killing the trooper's family.
Right. Yes. And so with the limited information that I had, you know, you tone it out how high priority. So everybody's going lights and sirens and they're trying to get more information. I'm like, I'm sorry, this is all I have. Like the situation was much calmer. It's very tragic. The guy essentially turned himself in and it is scary that he went to his personal residence.
Yeah, it is a little bit scary. I completely forgot about that one, Jess. I remember it was night shift when we worked night shifts together, and it was literally at the beginning of our shift, I think. Yeah. I remember sitting down, and I think I took a call, and I was like, "I'm sorry, you're telling me what? Like, what are you saying?" Mm-hmm. And then. I mean, at least he turned himself in. Yeah. He could have just fled. I mean, he probably should have started with not killing his family, but anyway, sorry. Okay. So, do you remember the case where the teacher went missing?
Not off the top of my head. Not that comes back quickly to me.
Okay. So, I'm going to tell you that story. I am going to start off by saying, which I'll probably repeat myself later, but saying that I didn't find anything stating that this had gone to trial, and there's reasons for that. So, it's not like a completely solved case, but it's just a case that I will never forget, and I know that no other podcast probably has covered because in all the research I did, it doesn't seem like there's been a lot of coverage other than like the local news when it was actually happening. So I thought it would be kind of cool to bring to light some of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you the story of Cathryn Gorospe, I think is how you say her name. I'm not sure. Gorospe. I'm just going to call her Cathryn because I'm not sure. So on October 6th of 2017, 44-year-old Cathryn went missing. Cathryn was a kindergarten teacher in Glendale, Arizona at the time, and she was last seen at the Coconino County Jail that evening. She was there to bail out Charlie Malzahn, and she met Tom Watson, a bail bondsman at the jail, and the two chatted while waiting for his release. At one point, Watson said Cathryn looked over at him and said, "I guess I really do love him." So there was this blog post where someone interviewed the bail bondsman after all this stuff came out. And he was saying how at first he wasn't really sure what their relationship was. It just seemed kind of weird. And so he kind of didn't push it. But then at the end, she kind of admitted that they were romantically involved. According to some news articles I read, the two met when Cathryn was doing some seasonal work in Williams, Arizona for the Grand Canyon Railway. It was believed that the two were romantically involved after meeting during the summer, and they had just met the summer before, is what I read online. Cathryn's roommate reported her missing on October 8th, at least according to some news articles I read. Some say that she was reported missing on the 6th, some say that she was reported on the 8th. It's hard when it hasn't gone to court yet because there's nothing like, you know what I mean? There's not like court paperwork that I can look at to make sure. Her roommate told police that Cathryn is going, and this is quotes, Cathryn is going to bond Malzahn out of jail, eat dinner, then travel back to Phoenix with him. The roommate reported she was not seen or heard from since, and she felt something was wrong because it was unlike her to do this and not make arrangements for someone to care for her dog. The roommate was able to provide a physical description of her and her vehicle information, and then the vehicle was described as a white 2010 Toyota RAV4 with a Green Bay Packers sticker on it. Charlie, a convicted felon who had spent half of his adult life behind bars at this point, was being held at the Coconino County Jail on GTA charges and carrying a loaded gun, so GTA Grand Theft Auto. Charlie was also the stepson of the Williams PD chief of police and was arrested by a Williams police officer. According to the Williams PD website, Williams is located in the heart of the Kaibab National Forest at an elevation of 6,770 feet. Founded in 1881, Williams was named for the famous trapper, scout, and mountain man, Old Bill Williams, and a statue of Old Bill stands in the Monument Park located on the west side of the city. The large mountain directly south of the town is named Bill Williams Mountain, and the town was incorporated July 9th, 1901. Also known as the Gateway to the Grand Canyon, Williams is the last town on historic Route 66 to be bypassed by Interstate 40. The community, bypassed on October 13th, 1984, continues to thrive on tourism, boasting 7 area fishing lakes, hiking trails up Bill Williams Mountain into Sycamore Canyon, an alpine ski area, and cross-country ski trails, 4 seasons weather, and an abundance of wildlife. Williams offers unlimited recreational opportunities for the outdoor enthusiast, and the historic downtown district covers 6 square blocks. There is something for everyone in Williams, Arizona. The town boasts a rich heritage and features the Old West and Route 66 coupled with tourism trends today and the town's heyday years of the 50s and 60s. So according to police documents, Charlie was in a minivan with his sister. This is why he was in jail at the time when she went and bonded him out. So he was in a minivan with his sister and her kids in August of 2017 when he, and this is a quote, became anxious in the vehicle and thought that his sister was going to have him sniped by the car next to him. He then proceeded to pull out a handgun and left his sister and her children stranded along I-10 in Tempe and drove off. He was later arrested by Williams PD officer with the vehicle and gun in his custody, and he was a felon, so he wasn't supposed to have a gun. He had previous charges in Coconino County for DUI and trashing a hotel room, and police documents state that he is well known by law enforcement in the Williams area. The Williams police chief stated because of his criminal history that he had to distance himself, and that's a quote from Charlie. Charlie had other charges on his records, including criminal damage, theft, assault, and harassment. And around 2 months before the incident with his sister's van, he had just finished serving time for aggravated assault and resisting arrest. So, real nice guy.
Repeat offender.
Yeah. Also, in a lot of the stuff I read, he blamed drugs. He said he was high, and I'm sure that played a lot into his lifestyle.
Well, especially with that paranoia.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. His anxiety definitely was not helped by the amount of drugs he was probably doing. After getting out of the county jail, police believe Charlie traveled from Flagstaff through Williams, Chino Valley, Prescott Valley, Phoenix, Clifton, Safford, and eventually ended up in Tucson with Cathryn's car and credit cards, but no Cathryn. In Tucson, he was spotted by police using her cards at the mall around 1 p.m., and he told officers he had her permission to use the cards, but they seized them. It's reported that he reached out to some friends for drugs as well at this time, and he met up with someone to get some drugs. I didn't see anything stating what kind of drugs.
So he was found with her cards after she was reported missing.
Mm-hmm. Well, no. She wasn't reported missing yet. So it was the next day after she got bonded out. So it had to have been the 8th when she was reported. Because they took the cards, but they didn't, I don't think she was reported as missing technically yet. Maybe she was, but if you would think if she was, they would have been like, hey. But if they didn't have a date of birth, I don't know how they'd know to run her or anything.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like they would try and get a hold of her about her cards.
So I think, like, maybe, I don't know, and maybe more will come out with trial, but I was thinking that same thing too. I was like, if she was reported missing and he had her cards, why didn't they keep him?
Mm-hmm.
Also, why did they just take the cards and not, like, I don't know, it just seems weird. But maybe he was like, oh, try and call her, and they tried to call her, and you know what I mean? Maybe more will come out later as to how that happened.
Yeah.
Around 48 hours after posting bail, Charlie entered a dorm lobby on the ASU campus with a female student on Friday. ASU is Arizona State University, for those people who might not know. Just before 10 p.m., he assaulted the 17-year-old student, and then the reason they know it was him, he was seen on security cameras in the lobby with the female student. In this footage, there's no Cathryn, obviously. So, pretty obvious. I mean, she wasn't with him at the mall. She wasn't with him at ASU. I didn't see a lot of detail about the assault that occurred. Maybe because she's 17 years old. Maybe because of it being overshadowed kind of a little bit by what happens next. Shortly after the assault, police responded to a carjacking near Rural Road and Apache Boulevard. It was here that Charlie had threatened a carjacking victim with a crowbar and took the keys of the vehicle before fleeing. So, he goes from ASU, he assaults the 17-year-old, he leaves, they send messages out to the campus after she reports it. I don't know what exactly happened. I don't know why she was left alive. You know, we'll never know. I don't know how she met him. Then he goes to Rural Road and Apache Boulevard and threatens to carjack somebody and then takes their keys and leaves, which obviously is showing he's not really thinking clearly.
He didn't take the car, he just took the keys.
That's what I saw in the news reports that I read. And around 1:30 in the morning on Monday, October 9th, Phoenix PD spotted Cathryn's car and tried to make a stop. So they see her RAV4 with Green Bay Packer sticker on it, and they attempt to stop him. And he fled the stop before crashing and then was taken into custody. Inside the Toyota RAV4, blood was found on the center console, interior passenger door, the sunroof and visor area, and on the interior driver door panel. So there was blood all over that vehicle, and it wasn't his. The vehicle was suspected at that time to have been used in the homicide of Cathryn. So they thought she was probably dead, based on everything kind of coming together. On Thursday, October 12th, volunteers and Cathryn's family searched for her in the area of the Kaibab National Forest, Williams, and Dogtown Lake area. Around 35 people volunteered for what was called an unofficial search, as law enforcement told the family they needed, and this is quotes, more details before organizing a search. When interviewed about Cathryn, Charlie acted like he didn't know her at all. So at first he tried to say...
Why do people think that that's it?
I couldn't wait to hear your comment on this.
2 weeks in a row, right? Where somebody's like, hey, who's this? I don't know. I've never met her. Well, that's funny because we know that you were with her.
Yeah.
What?
Literally, she bailed you out of jail. There is record of her bailing you out of jail, and you were in her car. Oh, but I don't know her. Oh, and you had her credit card.
I never heard of her.
Who? I'm sorry. Who is she? I am just hoping that you're dumb enough to believe what I'm saying. He then told officers that she had actually bailed him out of jail, but left him at the jail with her car.
Sure. Sure she did.
He said she left with her roommate. You know, the roommate that reported her missing?
That reported her missing from Mesa? Okay, sure.
And during the interview, investigators noted that his eyes were bloodshot and his pupils were dilated, so he definitely was high.
Drugs?
Yep.
Wow. I'm shocked.
Eventually, he gave the investigators information that led them to her body. You know, the girl he doesn't know who...
Never met her.
Yeah, whose car he had no idea how he got. On October 13th, the remains believed to be Cathryn's were found on a Forest Service area outside the limits of Coconino County by Flagstaff PD detectives around 5 p.m. That's what it says online. However, I'm pretty sure it was county people and DPS. I believe it was found in Yavapai County. And the only reason I know this and the reason I chose this story is because when I worked for Highway Patrol, our investigators went out to help recover her body and they saw the vehicle. And I remember one of the guys coming in to kind of tell us about it because, you know, sometimes you get those officers who actually tell you what happens, which is nice. But he came in to talk to us and he was telling us how it was like one of the most gruesome things he had seen. I won't say anything else he said because, like I said, it hasn't gone to trial or anything. On October 17th, 2017, an autopsy done by Yavapai County determined that the manner of death of the body found was homicide, and they released a statement that DNA is still pending, but the body matches the physical description of the teacher, including the clothes she was last seen wearing. They also state that Charlie had led them to the body. On October 20th, the Yavapai County Medical Examiner's Office informed Flag PD that the body had been positively identified as the remains of Cathryn Gorospe, so they did use dental records to confirm her identity. On November 8th, 2017, the Medical Examiner's Office released the cause of death, and they listed multiple stab wounds and blunt force trauma to the chest. In November, charges were filed through Coconino County for her murder, and according to Williams News, Malzahn was facing charges in Maricopa County for kidnapping, armed robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, unlawful flight from law enforcement, and theft of a vehicle. All of these charges aren't related to the charges in Cathryn's murder, which is why he has yet to face trial for Cathryn's murder. Because, as we know, the wheels of justice are slow, and I mean, defendants have the right to a speedy trial, but sometimes they don't want to take that right. Like, they just push it back as far as they can, or, you know, things happen. And I can speak from experience for my daughter's case. It was 3 or 4 years before we even got a plea deal, like before he even pled. So it can go on for a long time. According to the Cathryn Gorospe, or however you say it, I'm probably butchering it, Education Assistance Foundation, Cathryn was a K-3 teacher who loved life, her friends and family, the outdoors and hiking, the Grand Canyon, and her best friend and rescue dog, Sunshine. She was energetic, upbeat, and charismatic. Her very presence and sense of humor would light up the room. Known for her desire to rescue, on October 6, 2017, Cathryn was brutally murdered by a man she had come to pity and was trying to help. We hope to transform her senseless death into opportunities to promote the things that were most important to her: education, animals, and nature. So I think I read somewhere that they think that she was killed somewhere near Williams, or somewhere just outside of Williams, in her RAV4, which is why there was blood all over, which is why the case is in Coconino County, even though her body was found in Yavapai. So that's what they think. Another thing that I want to try, let me see here, let me pull it up. There are phone calls between the two and records of these phone calls. You can find them online, like you can listen on the news to some of them. So the phone calls between them usually took place in the evening hours, and he would place the calls and she would accept. The couple talks about future plans, and he had talked about moving in with her once he was released. During many of the calls, he would say, "I love you." She would say, "I love you back." They would talk about how much they missed each other and how much they wanted to be together, how much they couldn't wait to see each other. Sometimes in like a 12 News report, it says the calls would take a weird turn and he would start talking about killing dogs. And I guess at one time he talked about decapitating anyone who talked to her.
Oh, dear.
Yes.
And this is, and these calls were taking place while he was incarcerated, right?
Yeah, so they're recorded, obviously. I'm looking here, and one of the calls right before she came to get him, because there was multiple calls where he was like, "Can you come get me? I'm waiting for you to come get me." And she said, like, I have this much money, but I don't have the collateral needed to keep you because my home isn't worth that much.
In Arizona.
Yeah, she makes like $10 an hour. I don't know.
Nothing.
Yeah, they don't make any money for all the work they do. So that's why she had to get the bail bondsman to help her, right? And in that blog post I read, right, the bail bondsman said, "I know a con man when I see a con man." And he was saying he wanted to make these changes, but he wasn't looking me in the eye. And I knew, like, she was probably being played.
Well, it sounds like, even without listening to the calls, just listening of, like, how their conversations went, and even, like, her response when she was bailing him out that, "Oh, I guess I really do love him," or something like that, like, it all sounds so manipulative.
Yep. And that's the thing is, like, that guy said he could tell she was being manipulated. She was older than him by quite a few years. I don't know. I couldn't find anything too much about her background before him or anything. He had years. I mean, he was a felon. Years of playing people under his belt. Yeah. I'm sure that he knew how to play her. I'm sure he knew how to tug at her heartstrings. Like, she said in one call before she went and bailed him out that they needed to have a big talk before he got in the car. So I'm sure. So this is what my theory is. My theory is he conned her. He wanted drugs. In one interview or one of the news reports, he said he was high for days before he did that, which we all know, like, yes, it's harder to get drugs in jail sometimes, but it's not impossible. So maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, maybe he got out of jail. This is my theory. Maybe he got out of jail and he wanted drugs instantly because, you know, that's what you want when you're an addict. Mm-hmm. And then she was like, "I bailed you out. You need to change. I love you. I want to be with you. you know, because she wants, like it said, she wanted to help him. She thought he could be better. He's conned her into thinking he wants to be better himself, but he doesn't want that. And maybe he snapped because, you know, craziness. And then that's when he was like, I've got to get rid of her. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he was like, well, I've used her for what I need her for. Now it's time to get rid of her so I can use her car to go get drugs.
I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of we know that prolonged drug use can have a permanent effect on how the brain works and functions, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went beyond just the drugs, because
like the schizophrenia kind of stuff a little bit.
Yeah, like
mental health
sociopaths
issues
are the people that kill animals.
Yeah, and he was talking about it on phone calls. Also, but my question too, and I don't want to victim blame at all, because like I said, I don't know. But like, wouldn't that scare you a little?
And that's why it feels so manipulative to me, because I'm sure it did. But at that point, she was probably so wrapped up in it that she wasn't thinking for herself anymore. Like, every thought she had been planted by him.
Yeah.
At least about their relationship.
Mm-hmm. Hours of conversation, who knows what he's filled her head with.
Yeah.
And it seems like, from what I read, they hadn't really known each other that long before he got locked up, so it must have been pretty intense from the get-go. Like, those kind of relationships kind of are. Toxic relationships usually start out very intense.
Sweep off your feet.
And he's a good manipulator, so I'm sure he's going to tell her everything that she wants to hear from him in the beginning. And when he does something wrong, it's always going to be somebody else's fault.
That's another thing too, right? Like, that's even like a step past the manipulation, is the like blaming everybody else. And it's like, well, I was just in a bad situation, or, you know, bad place, bad time, something like that. Like, it's not my fault.
Mm-hmm. Everyone else is crazy.
If they've already manipulated someone into believing everything anyway, you don't even think twice about being like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Yeah. It's sad that she was trying to help him.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was she bailed him out and they probably had an argument or something. He just snaps.
Yeah, and maybe he also thought he was paranoid again and thought she was out to get him, just like he thought his sister was, because she was trying to help him. Yeah. But in the future, hopefully after everything, because like I said, I didn't see anything that said it went to trial yet. But to end this episode, I wanted to tell you, kind of on a lighter note, the City of Williams PD has a 911 do's and don'ts page on their website.
Ooh.
And I just wanted to read some of them to you. Okay?
Okay, I'm excited. Tell me what I should and should not do.
Okay, everybody, listen up. Do dial 911 only for an emergency. Emergency is capitalized. An emergency is any serious medical problem, any type of fire, or any life-threatening situation.
AKA, don't call 911 about your neighbor's barking dog.
Yes! Or to ask what the weather's like. I also would like to note that they urge people to use 911 to report crimes in progress, whether or not a life is threatened.
That just goes against their first point. Their first point.
It does.
Was that somebody's life has to be in danger.
And then it goes with this. Do not dial 911 for a non-emergency. And then it has the department, like, non-emergent line.
And that's the thing, though. That's the thing that we always run into, and it's why this is always going to be something funny, because the term emergency is subjective.
Yeah, because literally something could happen to me, and it could be the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life, and Jess over here could be like, really? That happens to me every Monday? Like...
A non-injury private property accident is an emergency to most people. Not to emergency workers.
It's not on the Williams PD website, because it's literally listed in here. Property damage accident, break into a vehicle when the suspect is gone, in parentheses, theft when the suspect is gone, in parentheses, vandalism when the suspect is gone, in parentheses, panhandlers, intoxicated persons who are not disorderly, are cars blocking the street or alleys, and animal calls are all non-life-threatening. This can be found at williams.hosted.civiclive.com.
But that only falls under one category for calling 911. They already said that it didn't have to be a life-threatening emergency. It just had to be something in progress.
But it has to be only when the suspect is there, because when he's gone, it's not an emergency, Jessica.
Listen here. When my neighbor's dog is barking, that dog is present. And it's happening. right now.
Okay, Karen.
It's disturbing my peace.
It is. Probably everyone around you, too. Do not program 911 into your auto-dial telephone. You won't forget the number. I don't know why this is on here, but it is.
What is it?
I'm not making this up, okay? It says programming the number invites accidental dialing of the number. Also, do not dial 911 to test your phone or the system. This needlessly burdens the dispatchers, which is true. I mean, I can get behind that. If you dialed 911 in error, do not hang up the telephone. Instead, stay on the line. True. Yes, I can get behind this one.
I can get behind that.
And explain to your dispatcher that it was an accident. If you hang up, a dispatcher will call back to confirm that there is no emergency. If you don't answer, a police officer or a deputy must be dispatched to confirm that you are okay.
That's all accurate. So if you do accidentally call 911, just be like, I'm so sorry, I hit the button, or I'm so sorry, it's my stupid iWatch.
I was going to say.
And every dispatcher will go, okay, no problem.
My iPhone accidentally did this. My 2-year-old was playing with my phone. All valid. When you hang up and I have to call you back 800 times because I'm afraid that there's something wrong and I have to send an officer to you, you can bet I'm a little frustrated.
Also, as a side note on that, if you do get a call back from a 911 center and they say, hey, we're just checking on you, your phone dialed 911, we just want to make sure everything's okay, and you go, no, it didn't. We don't make up the phone numbers. It's literally a redial button. So yes, you did.
Thank you for including that, because literally a week ago, I called someone and I said, hi, this is Brittany with so-and-so 911. We just got a 911 hang up from this number. Is everything okay? Like I do every time someone hangs up on me on 911. And that guy goes, I didn't call 911. And I said, well, your phone did. No, it didn't.
You're not in trouble. I'm literally just making sure you're okay. You won't got argue with me.
Okay. This is a do, I think. There's not anything. But it says, briefly describe the type of incident you are reporting. For example, I'm reporting an auto fire. I am reporting an unconscious person. Then stay on the line with the dispatcher. Do not hang up until the dispatcher tells you to. I 100% can get behind that one too. In some cases, the dispatcher will keep you on the line while the emergency units are responding to ask additional questions or to obtain ongoing information. That also is accurate. Like I said, I'm reading this all from their website, so it's like public record. You can go look at it. Do let the call taker ask you questions. I can get behind that one too. They've been trained to ask questions. There you go.
Hey.
That will help prioritize the incident, locate it, and speed up an appropriate response. Your answer should be brief and responsive. Remain calm and speak clearly. If you are not in a position to give full answers to the call taker, in parentheses, the suspect is nearby, stay on the phone and the dispatcher will ask you questions that can be answered with yes or no. Or we won't ask you questions at all if you're in a dangerous situation. We just want to be on the phone so we can hear what's happening.
We just want to hear you.
Mm-hmm. Do be prepared to describe your location and the location of the emergency. I like to point this out. We've pointed this out multiple times. Although an enhanced 911 system will display your telephone number and location, the dispatcher must confirm the displayed address or may ask for more specific location about the victim or suspects. Also, they didn't include in this, sometimes the position that your phone is in is not accurate. If you are a cellular caller, your telephone number and location may not be displayed for the dispatcher's reference.
Why is this? It's trying to be so fancy and like haughty language of like, if you are a cellular caller. No, if you're calling from a cell phone.
I don't know.
You're speaking to people. Like, why are you're not speaking to the queen. Just use everyday
They're trying
language.
to be professional in a way to tell you this shit, I'm sorry, excuse my language, but should be taught in school. Like, we should teach people how to make 911 calls because nobody knows how to make them. Heck, I probably didn't even know. I've told you before, I didn't know how to make them before I was a 911 dispatcher.
You know, a side note on that is when I first started, I was like 2 years or so into my dispatching career. Me and one of the supervisors tried to get a program started here locally that was specifically for that. Mm-hmm. That went into like elementary school classrooms and just went over like what that looks like. And also we tried so hard to get CPR taught to kids. Yeah. Because kids learn easier and kids retain things they don't realize they're retaining.
That is an amazing idea.
And we wanted to take away that Like, it's scary, especially for kids. It's scary if a family member or something like that faints or goes down or whatever, but they are also some of the most responsive callers I've ever had in the event that something is happening and I need something to be done has been children, because they do want to help and they're more receptive to taking direction.
I think that should be a thing.
They're more willing to jump into action. And so we tried to get a program started and everything got it all clunked up and it just never happened.
That's a bummer, because it would be really good. Like, that's one of the reasons, like I've told you before, that I go over with my kids. Where are we at? Can you tell me where we are? If there was an emergency. And then, like, I also suggest this to everyone. I learned this on Facebook, but as a highway patrol dispatcher, I suggest this to everyone, that if you have a special needs child, or if you have a child that has medical issues, right? And they're in a car seat, literally tape a label on their car seat that's big with that people can see with what kind of conditions, what kind of allergies, you know, all that kind of stuff on it. Because if you get in a car accident and let's say you're unresponsive and your child needs help, but they're allergic to something, like, it just kind of, it could save their life, you know? When we moved to our new house this last year, there's like on the fridge, there was this whiteboard. I wrote our address on it because of that reason. I was like, kids, the address is right here. If there's an emergency, this is the address you need to give, because
it's so critical.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be, it is scary. Anytime you have to call 911, you're obviously not having a fun, good time, right?
Yeah.
But being open and communicating with them can take the fear out of it. So even though the situation is scary, picking up the phone and calling for help is more familiar.
Yep. Okay, so let's see. I want to read this part because it's important. Cellular 911 calls are frequently routed to a central PSAP that could be miles away from your location. Be prepared to give the dispatcher your complete location, city, town, address, or location, inside or outside, what floor, room, etc. I think that we've already stressed that enough, but that's why sometimes we don't get the proper location.
Technology for 911 is like technology for anything else. Sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Be prepared to describe the persons involved in any incident.
And a good way to consider that as well, like a note for callers when you're calling 911, head to toe. So start, especially if you're giving clothing descriptions, brown hat, sunglasses, green shirt, black jeans, boots, head to toe.
Yeah.
Instead of, because it can be difficult to be like, the green shirt, their shoes are white, they gotta have sunglasses on. Just, that helps. That's a process. That's a thinking process to help you kind of think clearer, head to toe.
And be as descriptive as you can, because sometimes those little things that you notice could be what help us find them. Be patient as a dispatcher asks you questions, which I think we have stressed. We don't ask you questions just to make up random questions and just because we want to stay on the phone with you forever and we don't have other phone calls to answer. Listen to the dispatcher's instructions for assistance if you are in danger yourself, and don't hang up. Again, they follow through with don't hang up until the dispatcher tells you, unless, I'm adding, you literally have no choice. Like, if it's going to hurt you to stay on the phone and I already have the information I need to get someone there, then sometimes that's all there can be done, right? Mm-hmm. If it's going to put you in more danger to stay on the line with me, then I understand. But I just thought that was interesting and wanted to kind of end on a lighter note, because in my research for this, I was like, I'm sorry, they have a 911 do's and don't page, which I'm sure every 911 center probably has a list of things that they do and don't want people to do, but it's not published. No. And I was like, interesting. I'm going to read this to Jess and see what she thinks.
Thank you for listening. Additional information for each case can be found on our website, truthliesandalibis.buzzsprout.com. New episodes will be uploaded every Monday. Find us on Facebook and Instagram at Truth Lies and Alibis.